Today, we are separating the last from the construction built around it and explaining what your foot actually feels. The answer is that a last establishes the shape, but the builder creates the finished support system. An architectural arch manages force through its shape. A boot arch also manages force, but it must work with a moving human foot. A boot last is the solid three-dimensional form around which the upper is shaped during manufacturing. It resembles a foot, but it is not meant to be a perfect copy of one. The leather is pulled over the last and secured, while the boot takes on the last's three-dimensional shape. The last establishes several fundamental parts of the boot's fit and geometry. First is length, including where the heel, ball, and toes sit within that length. Second is width across the ball, one of the most important areas for natural foot movement. Third is instep volume, the space above and around the middle of the foot, not merely side-to-side width. Fourth is the shape, height, and taper of the toe box. Fifth is the heel shape and how securely the boot can cradle the back of the foot. Sixth is toe spring, the amount of upward rise designed into the front of the last. Seventh is the underlying location and shape of the waist, where arch support can be developed. Think of the last as a shared blueprint. Each builder still determines how that blueprint is executed. Whites, Nicks, and Franks all offer boots based on the 55 last, rather than three unrelated shapes carrying the same number. The 55 originated within White's arch ease heritage and was developed during the early 1930s. But sharing that starting geometry does not make every completed 55 last feel identical. Here is the distinction that causes the most confusion when people compare Pacific Northwest bootmakers. The 55 last provides the foundation, but the completed arch is the builder's interpretation of that foundation. Begin with the same bottom contour and the same general location of the waist, ball, and toe. Insole thickness and temper affect how firmly the structure begins and how it molds during break-in. Additional shaped leather can alter how much contour reaches the foot and exactly where that contour is felt. The leather shank's width, length, thickness, and placement influence stiffness, support, and how forces travel through the waist. Even a subtle change in shank position can move where support begins and how broad it feels. The midsole system determines how readily the boot flexes and how well the shaped waist resists flattening under load. Instep volume and lacing tension can also change how firmly the foot is held against the arch. Lasting tension, assembly methods, and final shaping can add still more variation between individual builders and individual pairs. What the customer feels is the last, translated through each builder's materials, dimensions, methods, and finishing choices. That is why two owners can experience the same boot very differently, without either person being wrong. A different feel is not automatically evidence that one builder is correct and another is wrong. It may simply suit a different arch, instep, gait, occupation, or personal preference. And when the underlying last changes, the toe box, ball, waist, and overall fit geometry can change with it. The 55, 4811, and 1977 or 1067 are genuinely different last families. White's describes its 55 as a medium arch last, and its 4811 as a medium-high logger arch last. They differ in toe shape, toe box volume, and how quickly each outline tapers toward the front. The waist contour and the transition from heel to forefoot are also different before any additional construction is applied. They also differ in width and volume around the ball of the foot, the primary flexing region. Moving the support forward or rearward changes where the foot first encounters it during standing and walking. A broader support surface may feel like the waist of the foot is being carried across a larger area. A narrower or more prominent build may create a stronger, more concentrated sensation under the arch. Heel height and heel-to-ball pitch also change how the arch meets the foot and how body weight moves forward. Toe spring can differ as well, affecting the front profile and how the boot rolls through a step. A qualified builder understands how its own lasts, materials, and construction methods work together. We can still compare visible profiles by scaling them to one length and placing them on a shared baseline. They already include construction, heel pitch, wear, break-in, photographic angle, and possible differences in boot size. But those traces should never be presented as dimensionally precise measurements of the bare lasts. The strongest arch is not automatically the best arch, and the lowest arch is not automatically the most comfortable. They can illustrate visible tendencies, but they should not be treated as laboratory measurements. Specific descriptions are more useful than simply saying a boot was comfortable or uncomfortable. So do not ask only how high the arch is. Ask how the entire boot was built. Give the fitter information about your ball, instep, heel, and previous arch experience, not only length and width. First, ask which last the exact boot model is built on. Second, ask how that builder's construction translates the last into the finished arch and support system. Third, ask whether the arch can be built up, reduced, or otherwise adjusted for your foot. If this helped you understand boot fit, share it with someone we're preparing to invest in a serious pair of boots. Subscribe for more, and thank you for watching DAMGARDT.